Good day, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the GSR Podcast. We have a very special episode today because we are graced by the CEO and COO of WeCom, Sir Cesar and Sir Carson, together with the Executive Director of GSR, Sir Hitoshi Emura-san, as well as another one of our friendly staff from WeCom. Please introduce yourself. Go ahead.
Hi everyone, I'm Caitlin Coronel. I'm the project director of Calle Centrale.
So rather than our usual fare of specific business questions, which we've been wont to do for the previous episodes, a very large bout of inspiration hit me while I was able to watch the previous interview that Iemura-san was doing with Sir Carson and with Sir Cesar, where we were talking about the various strengths and outstanding qualities of their company, WeCom, a private company amid the many listed public companies that. Would you say you'd have an underdog story with your company as you fought, in a way, with the larger developers to claim your space in the real estate hemisphere?
Okay, so we started the company in 2008. But prior to that, Carson and I, we work under the uncle of Carson. His name is Jerry Choa, so he's our mentor. He's the owner of the company called Property Company of Friends. So it's a big real estate company that does housing in Cavite. So he's our mentor. So our story starts with that. I met Carson. After that, I went back to the family business. I helped set up W Group, which does the W buildings in BGC. And then eventually I started this company, We Community Developers, because I really wanted to focus in real estate. What people don't know is when we started with almost zero money. Actually, I borrowed money from my brothers who were still working for my dad. I borrowed money from my friends. That's why when you look at our developments, our first developments were only like 6 to 7 stories. It's also part of our culture that we don't overprice our products because we really want to sell them fast. Because to be honest, we didn't have the capital to do it and to retain units. So that's one of the reasons why I guess we were able to survive multiple ups and downs of the market because of that culture of really being the value for money developer.
I respect and I admire that because that means both you and Sir Carson needed to have a laser focus on exactly what it was you wanted to sell at the exact price point people were willing to sell. That means keeping not just a pulse on the market, but a pulse on the customers specifically. I've done some work, some research with regards to studying up on how businesses are able to take off, classics like Purple Cow, Robert Kiyosaki's Think and Grow Rich, etc. And that really aligns with the principles, finding your unique selling point. But what really struck me was earlier in the interview, you mentioned your purpose. That's a very wonderful and interesting thing for any human being to have. And you pinpointed it with such accuracy. And that your purpose was to build homes. And the word home strikes home for me because you didn't say build houses. You didn't say build buildings. You said build homes. So the question I wanted to pose to everyone here is, what is your ideal home? What are the ideal standards you hold for having a home? And to you, what turns a house into a home? I'd love to hear your answers and thoughts on this matter. So yeah, why don't we start with you, Iemura-san? What is a home to you? And yeah, I wanted to start with you.
It's a difference for that people have a different idea. For me, home is good to be relaxed, good, make me happy, and convenient, and cost effective.
I like that cost effective is an important part. When we think cost effective, I feel like the first knee-jerk reaction we have is, oh, cost effective. That's a business term. It's a term that thinks of gains and losses, but I do believe that when a home really becomes a home, that you don't have to worry so much about the expenses anymore. You don't have to worry so much about spending too much, and it lets you settle into that comfort. And I do believe, would you say that that's what your product and project philosophy also revolves around when you make your projects and your buildings?
So when we started doing our developments in San Juan, the sizes of our units were very big. Actually, for a 7-story building, we only had 35 units. So that's really like 5 units per floor. And the floor plate we had that time was around 1,000 square meters, maybe less setback would be around 800. So the unit sizes we had before were relatively bigger, like minimum 75 square meters to a maximum of 180 square meters. That's when we started our developments before. So to answer your question, for me, because I lived in my developments. Like I mentioned earlier, when I started, I didn't have money. So technically, the money that I would have spent to build the house for myself, I invested it in the business, bought the land, built the building, and lived there. So I realized I lived the lives of the people I sold my products to. And I think the definition for home is, yes, number one, it has to be something comfortable. It has to be something also, you look at it as a long-term investment in terms of if I'm going to have 1 or 2, 3 kids, that's one. But I think what we do very well in WeCom is really, that's why it's We Communities, We Community Developers. It's really the community. So in all of our developments, we make sure that the community is intact, or very basically, you enjoy the company of your neighbors. You know your neighbors, you live a similar life, your kids are similar aged, they go to the similar schools. So more or less, it keeps the community, how do I say that, happy, or you love going home, not just to your home, but also to the community.
I love that. That is wonderful insight. I'm picturing it right now, and I think it's so good that you have the experience of actually living in your developments, because a lot of people with certain developers, they have their developer names on a blacklist, or they get extremely angry because it's like, do you even know what it is we're going through when we live in your buildings? And that is such an interesting and wonderful thing for you to be able to look those people in the eye and say, yeah, I do. I lived in those before. I lived in those during the process. That is an outstanding thing to be able to put on your legacy. And I would love to hear that being marketed more, to be honest, because God knows we need it. God knows we need the perspective of somebody who's actually knowing what it is the residents are going through, especially since you're a multi-million, multi-billion peso developer. And yet you have the lived-in experience. You have the knowledge of what the middle low, and middle high class want. You're right. We want to be in a place that's comfortable, in a place that doesn't cost too much, in a place where we can effectively set our roots down. And I think that's an interesting lead-in for my next question, specifically to Kimmy. From the outset, it looks like we're the same age. And this is important. This is important because I want the opinion of another person who's a similar age to me. We live in a vastly different age compared to Iyamura-san's time, compared to Sir Cesar's time, compared to Sir Carson's time, especially because we're a little bit more nomadic, what with all of the travel options. And at the same time, we don't have the same level of economic power. So for you, how does the prospect of putting down roots feel? What does it feel like to search for a place where you can try to actually make a home in this day and age? That's one. Number two is, I want to know about your experience as the project director so far, and your feelings on how WeCom's various buildings have evolved over your tenure as project director. So any thoughts on that would be absolutely wonderful.
For sure, I'd love to share.
Yeah.
Brief background would be, I actually grew up in the area. I lived in 3 of the subdivisions my whole life. I went to school here. I grew up going to the malls in Eastwood and having a lot of experiences there. I've also had the privilege and opportunity to leave Manila and study abroad and experience what it's like to really feel independent, and the experience of living in a city where everything is accessible and in close proximity, which is why this area really resonates to me. To your first question, that home is, you're always going to go back to home. It will always pull you in. You always want to be close to family. But at the same time, you want to be in an area that allows you to thrive and allows you to find yourself and really be your own person. In this area, you're close to family, you're close to all these establishments, but a project like Calle, to have a retreat, to have a thriving urban haven that you can go home to after a long day, and at the same time have neighbors that are also going through the same things that you're going through, and share experiences with like-minded individuals. I think Calle Centrale was intentionally designed for these people, for the future residents that are really going to be not only working, playing, or taking advantage of all the options available in the area, but really living, especially for our age where we just want to experience and try a lot of things. So it definitely taps a lot of the boxes, or checks all the boxes that you look for in a development.
A place to come back to, and a place where shared experiences are easily facilitated and common. Thank you, Ms. Kimmy. That was a wonderful answer. And it has me thinking about things as well, because, yeah, we're at the age where the desire to find good places to build a nest are ever more prevalent, especially with these rather challenging times. God knows we all need a good place to go back to these days.
And if I may add to, having the luxury of spending for the experiences or living the lifestyle that we want to live, being able to really take advantage of everything that's coming up, but at the same time not be scared that you can't afford it. So, being able to go out, being able to go to all these gym classes, being able to go drinking and eating out with all your friends, but at the same time making sure that you're prepared for your future, setting some of your savings, some of your income aside, and making sure that you're well prepared as you work towards retirement.
Retirement again.
Retirement at 27?
You must retire early.
It's a good thing to think about, especially now. What are we going to do? Not think about retirement and spend willy-nilly? We have to learn how to invest at some point. Better yet, especially since WeCom is here.
40 years advance.
Thinking ahead, advanced mag-isip. I like that. I like the preparation, and thank you so much for the added answer. That's good.
My experience as a PD.
As a project director,
Yeah.
well, I'm very fortunate and lucky to be mentored by Cesar and Carson. To be able to be given the opportunity to oversee from business conceptualization of a project all the way to operations and construction, and dealing with a lot of front-facing businesses, whether it be sales, whether it be architects and engineer. It's a very holistic experience, an empowering experience. But at the same time, making sure that you have, I have them to lean on to no matter what.
That's another good answer. Thank you very much. Yeah, it is, because you're not shouldering all of it alone. You're willing to let your mentors guide you to figure out what it is you need to do. And there's so much you need to do. Like you said, you're directing pretty much every single system that's there within the spectrum of stuff you have to do as a developer. And that's a lot. Like you mentioned, architecture, engineering, construction, human resources, figuring out the connections because you value community so much that you want to make sure you have the right partners, as you've said. That's a lot. And it's really good to know that even now, as you're speaking, you're making sure that you're relying on your mentors. Because that's what they're there for. Until you're able to stand on your own feet and do your own thing, they're there to help you figure it out, right? What it is you want to do, what it is you're good at, what it is they can help you work towards. And that's great. That's such a good answer. Thank you very much. And now we move on to Sir Carson. No, don't worry. It's the same fare in that I am very curious, well, about two things. One is your ideals in regards towards home. And two is, what was it like being mentored by your uncle and growing as an individual and as a business person with Sir Cesar? Because to be business partners consistently for 25 years, to be mentored for that long, is an extreme rarity, not just in terms of business partnerships, but also in terms of friendships. You'd be lucky if a friendship could last 5, 10, 15 years. And that's with regular friendships where you don't intersect work. Because some friendships can survive friendships, but not all friendships can survive working together. Heck, not all marriages can survive working together because the dynamics are different. So having that level of relationship is an extreme rarity. So what was it like? And what do you think are the fundamental ideals and pillars that you share between the two of you that really solidify your relationship as friends and business partners?
So maybe I'll answer the second question first.
Sure.
Okay. So a little bit of history. So the funny thing here is that I think you mentioned earlier that it seems like an underdog story, right? So I think when you look at our academic background, both Cesar and I, we did not really excel that well in school. But I think we wanted to have more of a balanced college life, going out with friends, doing this and that. But also, I mean, taking care of your grades just enough to get by, right?
Yes.
So I think that's an advantage of people who are more well-rounded versus someone who's like really just into pure academics.
Yes.
So I think that's the basic foundation that helped us be more successful in business. Because when Cesar and I met in 2001, Cesar came from a traditional Chinese family, and I also came from a very traditional Chinese family. So Cesar, I think, is the fourth among
6 kids.
6 kids, but I'm the eldest boy among 4 boys, and the second among 7 siblings. So both of our families are into their own separate businesses, and they actually expect a lot from kids, especially sons, right? So and the problem with that is that the generation of our parents came from a generation wherein whatever our grandparents said, they simply had to say yes. But then when it came to our generation, we can actually ask, why am I supposed to do this? And there was a bit of a clash in terms of what they expect us to do versus what we think is enough in terms of what we should do. And I think that's one of the reasons why both of us were in my uncle's office. At least you have that separation from family and work. Even if my uncle, who's my dad's brother, we're related in blood, through blood, I actually treated him as my boss. So whatever he asked us to do, no questions, no whining, no whatever. So basically, I can whine and complain when it's my dad, but I can't whine and complain when it's my uncle giving me the instructions. So I think that we needed that level of quote unquote professionalism, right? And I think looking back, the way my uncle mentored us was he didn't really teach us all the important things in business. He just gave us the same language that we have to understand. So meaning the value of work, the value of the product that you put out, And he also instilled a certain level of competitiveness between us project directors then. So who Kate is now is who we were 20 years back. We were project directors ourselves. So I was handling several projects, Cesar was handling several projects. We had to do everything as well, but none of the training that our new project directors are getting. So basically, my uncle would just say, this is the cash flow, which is the lifeblood of development. It's not even construction, it's cash management. Okay, so this is what you have to understand. Everything else has to fall in line based on how much money you need and how you are supposed to turn around this project based on the money that you have. So that's the basic language that we shared.
The language of money.
The language of managing money. Right? So then the good thing there is that it was really up to you how much education and experience that you wanted to get out of the experience. So then fast forward 6, 7, 8 years when my uncle's company got bigger and the old model of project directors did not work anymore, he started asking us to leave his company already. So that's when Cesar started WeCom and I joined my family. But then unfortunately, my dad's business had a difficulty. So eventually when it closed down, that's when I approached Cesar and said, we have been talking about working together for quite some time, but I had an earlier obligation with my family. But now since the business is closed, there's no obligation to speak of. And the obligation to actually help my brothers is no longer on my dad's shoulder, but it's now on my shoulder. So that's when I approached her and he said, okay, I'll give you a chance. We can work together. Actually, that's one of the things that really keeps us together as well. It's that sense of gratitude wherein no one else wanted to give you a chance, but someone does. So it gives you the drive to push through difficulties. I mean, the quote-unquote marriage for the last 14 years that I've been working with SAR hasn't always been smooth. We've had our arguments, we've had different direction, but the good thing is that we were trained to speak the same language in terms of how to manage cash. We also know the value of the type of value we want to put into our developments. So we never argue about cost cutting. Okay, it's not like Cesar would say, I want the cost to be reduced. Then I'd say, no, I want to keep the quality. We never argue about that. We always have the same outlook of keep on improving the product. Then, and the last part is, as I mentioned, it's always that sense of gratitude that I wouldn't be in this position if the chance wasn't given to me then, right? So those are the things that really drove the relationship forward. And personally, I believe na both Cesar and we're just stewards here. So similar with how my uncle trained us, he said, I'm training you not because I want to keep you employed forever. I'm training you because I expect you to be developers yourselves in the future. So fast forward, when we left 2008, fast forward now, we are actually full-fledged developers. And the funny thing here is that as his business focuses on house and lot, he's actually doing joint ventures with us, wherein my uncle is the landowner and we are the developers of the joint venture, right? So it's like a full circle for us. And that's also what we do with like our new project directors. Like Kate has a lot of options. Like, I mean, she studied abroad, she could have worked outside, but we know that having Kate with us and even having all our other PDs, it's a borrowed time, wherein eventually her family will ask her to, Kate, why don't we start our own? And we won't, of course, we'll feel sad, but we'll be sad, but we'll also be happy because that's the intent, right? So meaning, I think we have the capacity to teach, we have the capacity to share our knowledge. So if ever Kate does leave, we know we can train another one. But it's not the same Kate, right? It's a different individual, but we can train them the same way. But then we're equally happy because she can in the future be her own boss and even train new people under her. So I think that's what separates the company apart from a lot of the developers out there. So if you look at our developments, this is circling back to your first question. What is home for me? Obviously, it should be comfortable, number one. It's close to where I want to live, to where I work, where my kids go to school, where I want to eat, where I want to go shopping. But the question here is, if you look at home, it varies depending on the stage of life. If you're younger and you don't have enough cash, of course you can't dream of buying a mansion in Corinthian, or you can't even dream of buying a penthouse condo in Ayala Project. So you'd have to settle with a smaller investment. It may be your first home, but it's not your forever home. It's your first step into real responsibilities of paying for your amortization, starting memories in that place, and also improving that space, right? But then again, it's your first home, but it's not your forever home. Then maybe after 5 years, you look for another place, right? That offers the same comfort, but based on what you need at that point in your life. So basically, what we do in our development is that our tagline has always been beyond ordinary. So people ask, what does it mean, right? So beyond ordinary means that, am I allowed to say other developers' name? No, wag na lang. So let's for example, so you see a lot of developers who have the same look, the same cut, the same price, regardless where they are. Because if you look at the financials of a development, especially if you do a vertical project, land plays a very small role. The more expensive part is really the improvements you put in, right? So I'm talking about the mid segment. I'm not talking about the ultra high end development. So the mid market, which touches maybe 80% of our buying market. So all of the developers practically, when they develop, land only contributes 10 to 15% of the total cost of goods sold. It's really the building cost that contributes the lion's share. So in short, for most developers, I don't even have to study the market who can buy. They're simply going to put up a product which they think will sell based on affordability, and it's up to them if it fits their lifestyle or not. Okay? And what's different for us is we try to study, so like in Kate's case, even before we started doing this development, she did a market scan. Who are our competitors? What's up and coming in this area? Who are our potential clients? What is the sweet spot in terms of amortization or affordability? And we build the project around that data. So we try to create a home that someone can actually afford. So the cuts may be different, the look may be different, the amenities are different, depending on the market that we want to tap, right? So that's why each home that we do, each development that we do can actually be treated as a home depending on your life requirement at that stage, right? So we have affordable condo lines. Again, a different example, another development close to our development, we're practically a kilometer away from each other. We're priced at practically the same amount of value, but then since they want to maximize profit, the finish isn't the same. Compromise on ceiling height, compromise on the number of elevators servicing, the number of units per building. So these are basically things that make sense on a financial standpoint. But in terms of the resident living in those communities, will it make the properties they invested feel like home? So in our case, for that same development in that area in Cainta, we decided to elevate the finish, basically telling people that affordable doesn't have to be cheap, right? So it targets a specific market, and I think it's successful because it resonated to the target market that we wanted to touch. So at least for the 1,200 clients who bought, I'm sure it will feel like home for them, at least for the next 5 to 10 years. Yeah. So basically, that's my answer for 1 and 2.
I drew so much from that. That was
Too much?
absolutely no. I wish I could draw more, but then we're on time constraints, because I love that you talk so much about how you were taught a language. As somebody who's an aspiring better people person, because even though I'm a recovering awkward person, I enjoy talking to people and drawing out what makes them cool, because every single person is cool. You just have to figure out where the threads intertwine. I think language, communication, they're all essential. And it's such a beautiful and profound thing that that's one of the first and main things your uncle taught you both, to communicate on the same language and on the same wavelength, so that you both fundamentally understand each person's viewpoint. It's interesting because not only are there different nuances, right, depending on the person with regards to language, but as we've seen, especially now that we're all older and we see the newer generations with their new vernacular 6, 7, skibbity toilet, whatever, popping up, the languages evolve, the languages have subcultures, and people just want to be understood because there are things they find funny and there are things that happen in their little microcosms that they want to spread out. And in your specific structure, in your specific area where you worked, you were taught the ins and outs of that language. And now, and this is the thing, I love that you use this word, you're stewarding it. I had some issues before with regards to company training policies. When I would talk with my parents about this, I would debate with them at length, in that they would have the philosophy that, well, you shouldn't really go all in on training, because what if your employees leave once they're done with the training? And it's such an interesting question, because yeah, you're right. The company will expend resources to train their employees. And I don't know if you'd call it a coin flip, but it's such an interesting bet. It's such an interesting act of grace and stewardship for companies that go all in when they do that, because you don't know if they're going to stay. You don't know what sort of fruit is going to be born out of the person you're stewarding. You can only hope that your HR people were confident or competent enough to see that, yeah, this person has merit. And you can only hope that your own foresight and your own ability to read people is good enough for you to say, yeah, this one, I see something in this one. And borrowing from that Toastmaster speech, but I don't know what it is, but I want to see what comes out when I try to make it bloom. That's stewardship. And it's such a transmutable thing, because it goes beyond the bounds of business. It's a life thing. It's a cyclical life thing, because what do we do when we have kids or we have friends or we have people who we think are so interesting, but they're not living up to their full potential? We're like, yeah, I'll give you a shot. And that's what you were saying. You were given a shot. Sir Cesar was given a shot by your uncle. You were given a shot by Sir Cesar. It was a positive upward spiral that 25 years later led up to this. And this is why I love my job, and this is why I think that it's so interesting to be able to look at the story behind and the day in the life of the people who run these companies. Because we have the data, we have the numbers, we have their performances. But oftentimes the fundamentals of what built that company are the make or break behind what we'll see for them in the future. And they're oftentimes the things that I believe people need to see, because we're people. We want to see the people behind the monolithic structures that we're investing in. And from what I've gathered from everyone's answers today, I think beyond the shadow of a doubt, I can say that it is very, very good. And I see nothing but absolutely wonderful things in the future. Because if this is the way you conduct yourselves, not just in business, but in your stewardship of what you've been given, using the language of managing money, or if we're going to bump it up even more, the abstraction that is the language of managing assets, resources, people, the language of managing period, if you continue to steward in that way, I am so looking forward to the impact that you'll be having in our country. Because to go on a really quick tangent, recently, like last year, a good friend of mine had a wedding over in Iloilo. It was a destination wedding we were invited to over a year in advance, and I got to travel to Iloilo for the first time since I was a youngin who could barely process what the heck was happening. So I got to go there, and I got to go to Bacolod, and the vast expanse of untapped potential, especially compared to giants that are slowly turning into and becoming their own thing, like Palawan and like Cebu, is so interesting. Because you can see it, the vast tracts of land, the fact that they take good care of all of their natural resources there, the fact they're competing with Cebu, with Davao, it's all there. And the even more interesting thing is there are competitors like you there who are armed with the knowledge of what to do and what not to do, especially because we have, Luzon and its various highs and lows as a reference. So knowing that that's there to come is so interesting. And I am so excited to see what the future of WeCom holds, both from the perspective of a consumer and from the perspective of let's call it a burgeoning professional. This has been an absolute eye-opener, and I'm so happy that I've been able to have the privilege of getting to hear these stories firsthand. It's been an absolute honor. So I'll just wrap up our little conversation get together with this. I'm going to just say my name, and I'm going to say a little something that I'm excited for in the short term, whether it's later on in the day or in a week or a month. I think it doesn't matter as long as it's short term, because in effect that too is a thread of connection that we're spreading out into the world, into the viewers, and into each other. So it's been an absolute pleasure hosting this conversation, this podcast. I've been Jose Angelo Zulueta, and I am very much looking forward to having hopefully a Japanese dinner with my wife later when I get home from this. Iyamura-san, please introduce yourself once again and let me know. Once again to bookend the podcast and let me know what you're excited for later, whether it's yeah. So what are you? So say your introduction and then what are you excited for later?
I have around 50 years property development business experience in Tokyo Corporation, Japanese developer. I was in charge of the development in Australia, US, and Hawaii. And I have a deep involvement for the property development outside of Japan. Mm-hmm. And after that, I'd like to learn more about money management. So I moved to the consulting firm Accenture and investment fund Mitsubishi UFJ Capital, and I learned more about money because to succeed the development is really important to cash management, as you told. So I learned cash management and value proposition to the clients through consulting and the fund management. Then suddenly I had an interest to Philippines in 2009 at the time of Lehman shock. At the time I sold. At the time the Japanese yen was really strong. Japanese yen value is almost double comparing with now. So I used this strong yen to put somewhere else outside and look around the world. Then comparing with many aspects, economic growth potentiality and stability and political, all aspect. And then I picked up Philippines and the United States. Then I started to put my money into real estate market in Philippines and US. It was 2010. After that, I go back and forth between Japan and the Philippines and look at the growth of the Philippines last already
14, 15 years.
15 years, right? Yeah, 14, 15, yeah. Of course, up and down.
Yeah.
Up and down. Philippines up and down. I still, Philippines has a kind of a pretty high this country, frankly speaking. But meaning that up and down. But the basic trend is going up. That's what I like Philippines. I have been have a big focus on Philippines because Philippines had a pretty big fluctuation, but mainstream is go up. So it's for me, Philippines is a very, very promising growth story country, and geopolitically, geologically, it's very close to Japan. So I put the money around the world, but for real estate, it's good to near Japan. Yeah, because real estate investment cannot do just smartphone, right? We have to go there and check the land, So Philippines is a very, very good place for Japanese people to put. Philippine real estate is good price for Japanese people to put the money. I still think about it.
Thank you very much, Yamura-san, for continuing to be excited for our country for over 15 years. That's nice. That's really nice to hear. All right, Sir Cesar, it's on to you, sir.
Okay, so I introduce myself again. So I'm Cesar Wee. I'm excited for the listeners of this podcast to, well, number one, maybe learn from my story and Carson's story. We were not really you would think the big developer that we are now if we weren't the how do I say this, the black sheep of or maybe of my family, or maybe because we chose this direction in life. We could have just stuck it out with our families, but I guess we had a common goal to prove to people that we can do this, number one. Number two, I want to go back to what Carson mentioned earlier about language. That is the best gift our mentor gave us, that we share a certain language. To explain how important that is, if Carson tells me this project is good, I won't even question Carson. I won't even ask him, how much are we making? How do you plan to do this project? As long as he says, this is good, I'll take care of it, then that's it. It's as simple as that. I don't think anyone has that luxury of having a partner that you think about it exactly the same wavelength. I'm one of the reasons you mentioned earlier that some marriages, some friendships don't work out. I think our language helps us. That number one. I think number two, I also feel a lot of gratitude to Carson for helping me build this company. When I started this company, it was just me, my wife, a few people. Now our company has 540 employees. Imagine that. And it's all because of Carson and his brother joining us. But yeah, we started it small, but we trust each other. It works. I don't know. I hope that people will realize that doing business with friends will work as long as, I guess, you share the same. How do I say this? Your values are the same. I think so. It's not just about money. It's not just about being the biggest. Actually, when we talk, we always say, we don't want to be the biggest. We want to be the most trusted developer. If we wanted to be the biggest, we could go list the company, which a lot of people have been asking us to do, but that's not the goal. We like that we're close to our employees. We like that when we work, everyone's happy. We like that we're mentoring young people like Kate. Hopefully, Kate will become a developer. Another thing you mentioned is, when we train people, is it a flip coin? For me, the people that left our company, we were actually happy for them. Happy that they're moving to a company that will make good use of them, They're probably getting a bigger salary because that's why they're moving out. But we're generally happy. And we are also confident that we can build people like that again within our company. What I am excited about also is to go home to my family later.
Well said.
Because it's a summer break, so I get to spend more time with my kids. And we brought in a new brand from China, a new car brand. So
Let's go. Take it for a spin.
so it's my new baby because in this company in WeCom, Carson is really the boss. I'm here. I step aside because Carson is really much better than me. I'm just here if there are any problems, some problems that I could help solve. But more or less 90% of the work is really done by Carson. So I'm grateful Carson is here. I'm excited with my new baby, not real baby, but my new baby project, my baby business. So yeah, that's it.
All right, Kate, you're up. Thank you so much, sir.
Again, I'm Caitlin Coronel. I'm the project director of Calle Centrale, as well as WeCom Center of We Community Developers Inc. But more than that, I'm a proud mentee of Cesar and Carson for about 6 years now. I came to Manila after studying in Boston for about 5 years. And was introduced to Cesar and Carson as a third-gen real estate developer, but in commercial real estate and industrial real estate. And more than just being a corporate employee of WeCom, I think what makes this relationship or dynamic much stronger or unique than everyone else's, there's that trust, support, and I'd like to think unconditional love and guidance, which empowers project directors to think outside of the box and be more entrepreneurial in thought and action and be able to apply that to the projects that they are leading and somehow relay that and let that trickle down into the teams or people that they're leading. And in effect, it shows in the products that we put out, in the projects that we launch. Again, our projects are intentionally designed specific to the market and areas that we're entering in. And it really reflects. We talk about language, we talk about what drives us. It's really to give value and to be better in every way that we can. Not only in price performance, but also how we can complement and contribute to the lifestyles of our future residents. So what I'm excited about and what I look forward to is to give a vote of confidence not only to the Japanese investors, but also beginner real estate investors like myself, give you a vote of confidence and take a bet on underdogs like us, because we truly want to give more where we can and build based on a vision of going beyond ordinary, not only in the products, not only in helping others, but in everything that we do.
So I'm Carson Chowa. I'm the CEO of WeCom. So I think I said a lot of things. I'll just say what I'm excited about.
Sure.
So I'm excited about two things. So tonight I'm playing pickleball with my wife, with some of our employees. So if you want to join,
inviting us.
So we're playing in Santa Mesa. If you want to join. Then I'm also excited to watch episode 4 of One Piece with my son.
Oh, season 1 or season 2?
Season 1.
It's good. Wait, the live action, right?
Live action.
I'm so happy for you. And that was a wonderful time to get into the series. All right. All wonderful things to be excited about. And now I have to end the podcast as fast as possible before anime brain takes over and I start ranting and raving about One Piece. So this has been the GSR Podcast. If you liked this episode, you'd like to see it again, or you'd like to look at it again, we have these episodes up on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. Also, if you would like to follow us and get updates on when we'll have more podcast episodes or other miscellaneous things, we'll be flashing QR codes for our website at www.gsr-ph.com. That's www.gsr-ph.com. We'll also have a link tree up with all of our socials where you can practically find us on every single social as at GSR Philippines. Iemura-san has a book that he's publishing on investment in the Philippines, which is going to come out both in English and Japanese. So please go ahead and check that out as well if you're interested in plumbing the depths of Iemura-san's hard-won knowledge. And that's all we have for today. Thank you again so much, everyone, for the time. And see y'all next time. Arigatou gozaimasu. Bye. For all of your property needs, come to Global Strategy Real Estate, GSR. We at GSR are your one-stop shop for anything related to your property and more. From management to buying, selling, documentation, and maintenance, we have your back. At GSR, we aspire to provide the level of quality and service which put Japan on the map as one of the hallmarks of hospitality. Let us manage your property today.